And so we're recording just for those who couldn't be with us today. But welcome. Thank you all for being here for our bi-monthly education working group meeting. We'll just do a quick round of introductions. So my name is Landon, he, him. I'm the operations manager for SBACT, and I'm co-coordinating this working group with Marcy Wimbish, who isn't able to be with us today. I'll pass it over to Christy.
Christy Stillwell, Executive Director of What is Love.
How about Judy?
Hi, I'm Judy Osterhage, and I work at Santa Barbara City College, and I also independently have traffickingawareness.org, which is an educational for trafficking.
And Victoria.
Hi, my name is Victoria. I am an intern with SBACT, and I am the president of the UCSB Trafficking Action Group on campus.
And Esmeralda.
Hi, I'm Esmeralda Estrada with Supervisor Das Williams.
Jim?
Yeah, Jim Wright, and I volunteer with Kingdom Causes.
Kayla.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kayla Peterson, and I am the Catalytic Program Coordinator for Kingdom Causes. So I get to work with Jeff Schaefer, if you know who that is, and also with Jim.
Elsa.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Elsa Granados, and I'm the Executive Director of Standing Together to End Sexual Assault. And, you know, we provide education and intervention on all things sexual assault.
Great, thank you. Carla.
Hello, Carla Wisa. I am the Community Education Coordinator at Standing Together to End Sexual Assault.
Great to be with you all. And since Kayla is here with us today, Kayla, would you talk about some of the changes with the task force on a whole, since I don't think everyone was here for the task force meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll make it brief, but so the Human Trafficking Task Force, as we all know, is housed in the DA's office. It will stay that way under victim witness. They will still facilitate all of those meetings. So all of those quarterly calls and or in-person meetings, and they'll set the strategies for us. But Kingdom Causes is coming in sort of a helping facilitation role with a leadership team. So bringing together subject matter experts and a lot of different folks. So Landon, for example, will be on that leadership team representing this group. And in addition to our data and evaluation group and our education group, we'll also be sort of launching next year a couple other action groups to tackle specific priorities. So that leadership team will be setting sort of a 3-year strategic plan with actual measurable strategic goals. So we'll be expanding some more meetings, but hopefully these meetings will be working meetings and an ability to develop strategies, and then these action groups will tackle these strategies. So looking at developing a housing and shelter group, a labor trafficking group. The first year will probably be exploratory with that group, hoping to do a needs assessment to the needs assessment that was done in 2014, a medical working group with kind of looking at the Safe Haven program, bringing that to South County. So a couple key strategic pieces that we know we need to work on, but again, so grateful to be with all of you, to learn with all of you. And so I'll be participating in this group as well as with the others, but again, just really grateful to get to know all of you.
Is Kingdom Causes a nonprofit? I'm unfamiliar. I don't think I've heard about it before.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kingdom Causes. Yeah.
Yay.
No, Kingdom Causes is nonprofit. So CityNet is sort of an extension and affiliate organization that does a lot of homelessness case management here in our community, which you might be more familiar with.
Yeah.
But Kingdom Causes is active across Southern California. And they're part of LA County's Human Trafficking Task Force. So there's California, obviously one of them is homelessness through the kind of affiliate organization CityNet, now kind of expanded all across California. Foster care is a little bit of a focus, again, more in LA County and Riverside County. And then human trafficking or anti-trafficking work is another one of those focus areas.
Yay.
So thank you, Kayla. I'm glad you can be with us. And so if there are questions about the task force on a whole, you'll want to direct those to Kayla and Jeff. And Kayla, if you want to put your contact info in the chat window, that would be great. If it's related to like just education, awareness, and trainings, you can still feel free to email Marcy or myself. So we are primarily using today's meeting to talk about prepping for January, which is Human Trafficking Awareness Month. At our last meeting, we started setting some general goals for the month, and they're largely qualitative. I'll read out a couple of the things that were shared. One is that in the past, we focused a lot on offering education events, which are usually attended by the same people that have already come to education events. And we recognize that the name of the month is Awareness Month. And so we want to try and have a broader reach. And so we've been talking about shifting some of our strategies to have a broader reach rather than offering those same kinds of things. We also want to use this month as a way to offer an emotional or heart connection with the issue. So we're not as heavily focused on the education and the facts piece as much as we are just engaging our community with the really harsh reality that this is in our community. We also want to engage with faith communities through this month to the best of our ability, which is something I'd love to see how we can lean on Kingdom causes a bit with. And then also someone shared that like at last year's vigil, one of the best parts was having some of the young people from some of the advocacy groups on the college campuses sharing about their work with the issue. And so really trying to engage with young people again. So as I said, those are more qualitative goals than they are quantitative. I think we're kind of just sort of trying to build out and see where we can go. We do have a couple of specific events and tasks that we had talked about taking on this year that I'm hoping we can work through today. And so the main things are, number one, the proclamations presented to all of the city councils and the county board of supervisors throughout Santa Barbara County. Number two being the some kind of media campaign, and this would be sort of the awareness piece. So we've talked about trying to get an ad on in the Independent or the Santa Maria Sun. Hey, Ann, thanks for being with us. We also talked about trying to get a PSA made. And so I've spoken with a contact from Fighting Back up in Santa Maria that might be willing to help us to make a short PSA. And then also press releases as well. And then the third component would be the interfaith vigil that we host. And we're still trying to settle on the date for that. The main reason why it's tricky to settle on the date for us is because we want this to be something that we can do ideally simultaneously in North, South, and Mid County, or North and South County, and then also with our university campuses. So those are the three main things that we'll be talking about today. We also want to point everyone towards action through these events. And so we have been working on compiling a list of resources, action steps, links to more in-depth trainings that people can take. And so we'll be developing sort of a one sheet that everyone can walk away from the month with different ways that they can continue engaging with the issue or supporting local survivors. So I'll pause there for a minute before we start getting into the weeds of the different components, but are there any questions so far? So I wanted to just start then with the interfaith vigil. This piece will take a little bit of planning, but it's usually a fairly lightweight event. We are tentatively planning on Wednesday, January 18th. And so I would love for all of you to pencil that into your calendars with an eraser on hand. Typically, we offer the vigil at 5:30 p.m. And then it's usually about a 45-minute event. At our last meeting, we talked about actually wanting to switch back to in-person this year. We felt that this was a good enough time, and that the emotional weight of the event is a little more felt if we're able to do that. So typically in South County, we offer the event at De La Guerra Plaza. And so I'll be working to try and book that. And then I know Anne has been working a lot with Good Samaritan and some other partners in North County. And I know that it's very tentative right now, Anne, but do you want to share just a little bit of what you're working on?
So I'm working with the new folks that are running the medical safe haven at Marion Hospital to hopefully have it on that property, as well as a group from Pioneer Valley High School youth to have youth on hand as well, because we had them at an event in, I think it's when we did it in 2019, and no, it may have been in January 2020 when they were here, and it was pretty powerful. So that's what we're talking about right now, as well as wrapping in Good Samaritan Shelter. You know, we've got the safe house up here in Santa Maria. So everything is very tentative right now. The folks at Marion there are a few more hoops to get through when you're working with a big entity like that, but I think that they're very interested and excited about the possibility of partnering with this, because it brings awareness to the medical safe haven program that they have at Dignity Health now too. So
Awesome, thank you, Anne. So for the vigil, we don't want to dictate what any particular group is doing. In the past, for the South County Vigil, we've tried to have at least 1 to 2 elected leaders speak, 1 to 2 faith community leaders speak, and 1 to 2 service providers. We actually end with the faith community because they can give more of a charge at the end of it. And then we often then have a time of protracted silence, silent vigil in commemoration of the survivors in our community. So it's a fairly short program, but it has been powerful in years past. Very open to adjusting that too. As I said, I think we're going to hold on really hashing out the details until we're settled on the dates. But I intend to plan a follow-up meeting to anyone that wants to be a part of planning that. And then I think we'll be inviting several of you to speak and share at that event as well. So any questions? Yeah, Judy.
Yeah. For some reason, I was thinking last time we wanted it at different locations throughout the city. So now we're going to just focus on the De La Guerra Plaza. I may be incorrect.
No, you're correct. We talked about last year, the initial plan was to have vigils at the different university campuses around. And so I have opened that up to Victoria, who's at the UCSB tag group. And then Kingdom Causes, if you all are working with Westmont folks that are interested, Judy, if you want to open that to SBCC students.
Okay.
We're also happy to accommodate them all within the same vigil. It's just a matter of what you think the students will be most likely to engage with. So
yeah, unfortunately, we're on break. We're on semester break then. So I don't know if we'd get the students, but anyway, that we can figure that out.
Yeah, Victoria, do you know what your schedule is?
Yeah, so we'll be back by January 9th. January 9th is when our winter quarter starts.
Okay. So yeah, so let's touch base. Either way, we'll plan to have it in the latter half of the month, so we have a little bit of time to promote it anyway. So any other questions? All right, so the second component then is the city council meetings. And so we have a draft proclamation, and I realized I think I shared the wrong link in the meeting agenda today, but I'll just share briefly, and I can email this out. But you can see this is very formal proclamation text, but we have the whole template created already, and I worked with, I think, a couple of you last year as well as Rita to refine this. This one is written for the city of Lompoc, but you can obviously sub out the text that's in green based on what municipality you're working with. I would love to have 1 or 2 people read this over for this year to see if we want to make any edits or modifications, and also have Rita from the task force read it over. Do I have any volunteers who'd be interested in giving this a once over? It's just 1 page.
Our office would be happy to sponsor the resolution at the Board of Supervisors level, so I can help read it over and provide
Great.
any comments or additions to it.
Thank you, Esmeralda.
Mayor Osborne's name is spelled wrong.
Is it really? Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Elsa.
Landon, remember part of the feedback that we got last year was that for the cities of Goleta and city of Santa Barbara, we need to start the process with them earlier. I think we may still be within their time frame, but it seems like the January meetings for both of those are packed with other traditional items, and so they asked that we contact them sooner so that they could get us in.
Yes, you're just ahead of me, Elsa. So the next agenda item is to actually figure out who's going to reach out to each of these groups. So I'm going to share in the chat window a spreadsheet of the different councils. And so I think last year, I know Elsa, you helped me. I think Anne, you helped me as well. I don't necessarily know who the appropriate contact is for each different city council. I'm sure Esmeralda, you can connect us with the county supervisors.
Yes, I can do that. And Councilmember Oscar Gutierrez is usually pretty open to conversations about sponsoring these things. So I can reach out to him as well, if that works.
Great, that would be wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, so that was going to be my question. So you can see if you have the spreadsheet open, maybe I'll just share my screen for those of you who can't. So we have each of the different municipalities in our county, as well as the County Board of Supervisors, as well as the actual meeting dates that we project that they'll have. Sometimes they change these, so it's not for sure set in stone. So I would love to see if I could get a couple of volunteers who'd be willing to reach out to a couple of these. Would anybody be willing to sign up for one of these cities to start sending some emails and see if we can get on their agenda?
I can take care of Lompoc and Santa Maria.
Thank you.
And well, I mean, I might as well do all the ones in North County: Guadalupe, Lompoc, Santa Maria, Buellton, Solvang.
Okay.
And if Esmeralda is going to do Santa Barbara City Council and Santa Barbara County Supervisors, I can do City of Carp and City of Goleta.
Okay. Thank you. So I'll email this spreadsheet out again, but let me know if you need any help with this. I'll probably check back in with you in the next week or so because of what Elsa was sharing, that they do book up quickly. I guess next week is Thanksgiving, so probably not in the next week, but right after.
Could you also share the document with the language, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I'd love to get that finalized before we actually share out the proclamation, but if they need to see a draft too, you're welcome to share that. So when we do these, or Elsa, is your hand raised? Yeah, go ahead.
I was wondering, just to pony back on your comments about it being Awareness Month. I'm wondering, given that we outreach and try to reach so many youth, I'm wondering if this year it would be helpful to get the unified school districts or any of the school districts involved in acknowledging it and giving time on their agenda, something, having one of us speak, whatever that may be, just so that parents that are attending those school board meetings become aware as well as, you know, just them being a policy body,
That's a great idea.
disseminating the information.
That's a great idea. I don't know, I'm not familiar with school boards, whether they do proclamations or anything like that, but we could at least probably ask to give a quick public comment. So I would think, at least if we wanted to just start small, we could pick the biggest school districts. So it's Lompoc Unified, Santa Barbara Unified, and then is Santa Maria Bonita the biggest in Santa Maria?
Well, size wise, I don't know. I mean, what the student count is. Shana might know, but I mean, Santa Maria Bonita is very large, as is Santa Maria Joint High School. So
Hi
I mean,
everyone,
that-
sorry, I've been on phone calls. So
Yeah.
Santa Maria Bonita has about 18,000 students, and the joint high school district has about a little over 9,000 students. Is that what the question was?
Yeah, I guess so. It's just if we were to target school districts to give a public comment at which ones would be the biggest ones. Or the key ones. to
Are you
visit.
looking for students or for families?
More for parents? We're just, it's Human Trafficking Awareness Month in January, and we just want to make a public comment to acknowledge it.
Landon,
Yes.
it could also be something that you coordinate with their staff that sends messages out to parents. So
Mm.
if our demographic is trying to reach parents, it might be more efficient to draft a message that can go directly to parents that they can deliver through Parent Square.
Okay. I wonder, Christy, if I were to draft something, if that's something you'd be willing to help me to figure out the right channels to get it to.
Yeah, I can. Here's the challenge. They're very protective of information that goes to parents. So we could draft something and we can make a recommendation. I can't guarantee that they'll actually send it out.
Sure.
But I think it's worth a try.
Okay.
And I think that that's probably the best way to reach parents versus like public comment at the school board level, because very few parents show up for that.
Okay. This is great. Sorry, I'm just making a note of this before I forget. When we do, then just to circle back to the city council meetings, so the way that typically this works is if they are willing to offer a proclamation, then they will have a formal document that they make out of this copy that we share, and they'll read it out at the beginning of the meeting, and then they'll often open it up for one or two representatives to share a comment or two. And so I wonder, I guess we don't have the dates yet, so I don't want anyone to have to sign up yet. But I think just keep it in your radar that I'll be reaching out to ask once we have the dates, hey, do we have one or two individuals that be willing to show up to each of these meetings to receive the proclamation and just say a word or two. I believe some of them, at least some of them are offered on Zoom, but I know like Guadalupe, I don't believe they have a Zoom offering. So that may be the case for some of the city councils. That's all I have for city councils. Any questions about that? Thanks everybody for your help with this. So then the third component is the media campaigns. Shana, I shared earlier, I did reach out to your contact, Ben Slocum. And so he said he's interested in helping us to develop some kind of PSA. And so I'm going to be following up with him after today.
Awesome. It's great.
What I shared with him is that, you know, he would be offering his time free of charge. So I'm not looking to do anything very big here, but if we can get even a couple of minutes of video that we could share on social media, I think my goal would be, and I would love feedback on this, but my goal would just be to share briefly the reality of trafficking in our community. So maybe just a couple of the facts, and then a couple of the ways to get engaged, and maybe a quote from a service provider or two about working with individuals.
Landon, you want to shoot for 15 seconds.
15 seconds.
That's the length. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to use Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram, and depending on who your demographic, who are we trying to reach with this, right? We're trying to reach more adults. I would say Facebook. But 15 seconds is a snippet, right? And then you, for more information or for whatever, then you put something in the link. But if it's longer than 15 seconds, it won't get a high rate of watch.
Okay.
Yeah, and Ben knows that. He knows, you know, what people are on. He knows how long. He just did one for us. Was it 15 seconds, or I think it was 30 seconds? It was very short. He can cut them down too. He can make some long, some short. So he's pretty good with knowing all that.
And it's amazing what you can get into 15 seconds. You'd be surprised. So, yeah.
Okay, that's great. If there's anyone else who's interested in being a part of that, developing that, please let me know. I'm happy to work with anyone on this. I'll share my email in the chat window. The other component of the media outreach is maybe trying to get an ad in the Santa Maria Sun and or the Independent. I know that in years past when we've advertised like a human rights issue type thing, that they've been willing to give us some ad space free of charge. Like usually it was electronic, so on their website. I made just a very simple example of what this could look like. Just to give you a sense, like usually it's like a small banner ad. So you don't have much space to say much. It's mostly just, hey, this is happening. To learn more, here's where you click. And so again, this goes with our idea of trying to just reach people who maybe are not actually aware. But I would love to maybe run this by one or two folks and see if there's anything we'd like to add or adapt. Does anyone have any particular interest in looking over the ad campaign idea with me? It would just be over email. Christy, yeah, you're good at this stuff.
The other thing too is, Landon, does the task force have a budget for any sort of outreach awareness stuff? Because actually paying for an ad in the Independent would be so much more effective, I think, than having just a small banner. And I mean, you could get a quarter page for, let's see, I think what we paid was $1,800 for a full page. So for just a couple of $100, you could get, you know, a sizable, you know, ad space that would maybe have more bang for our buck.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know, Kayla, if you do, but I'm happy to reach out to the task force folks.
I don't know that off the top of my head, but I'd say it's worth it. Definitely, I agree with Christy. It's worth asking.
Okay.
I would think that Rita would be in support of that and figure out a way to fund that.
Okay.
I'd agree with that.
You can get a pretty good size ad in the Santa Maria Sun for less than $300.
Okay.
Yeah, I think thinking more strategically with who's the demographic we're trying to reach, what's going to be the best delivery of that, whether it's social media or print media, and then figuring out how we can leverage whatever that small, you know, budget is to get the most eyes, to create curiosity, to create that click through to say, hey, I want to know more about this, or hey, I want to get involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the other thing about Ben is, like, when we were doing our public service announcements for our homeless outreach, so he did the public service announcements. He has contacts at the TV stations, and so I guess you can actually get free PSAs on TV stations, which is really nice. So you can get that going. And then he got me connected with the 97.5, the Beat, whatever. It's a television station on the North County, and we did a little radio spot. We also got it at the Spanish La Ley, a radio spot telling about the, our services and events, and they always want that. So Ben can hook that all up.
Okay.
And that's all those radio spots, that's all free. And then the PSAs on the television stations, they have to do a certain amount of PSAs as a part of what they do. So that can be free. It's just
Okay.
the Facebook and all those would be a charge.
Sure.
Yeah. But if he's offering it for free, that's amazing.
I don't know yet. I talked with him on the phone just yesterday and told him, we don't necessarily have a budget for this right now. So I don't want to waste your time. And he said he'd be willing to just talk more and see what he can do. So
Kayla, when you talk to either Rita or whomever with the task force, tell them that we want print media and we want social media boost. Because if you're going to spend the time to do anything like it, right, we got to boost them. And we can put together a quick budget to say, like, this is what we think our best guess what the cost would be. But that, I think we would want to include all of that in our media request.
Yeah, Landon, I'm happy to tackle that part of sort of building that. And I also know that we're having conversations about a more robust social media campaign with the task force to like elevate overall. It might not happen obviously in January, but this gets the ball rolling with the strategy to tackle that longer term conversation of, okay, how best do we want to tackle this? So I'm happy to take that on, Landon, and CC you. And Christy, I want to bring you into that too, because you're going to be able to be a lot more clear and have the expertise. So thanks for that.
Well, I would bring my social media manager in. I know this much about it. He knows more, but we would definitely be interested in being part of that conversation.
Awesome. I will tackle that.
I'm also happy to ask our county PIO to share it once that's finalized on our social media page. And they just started a new monthly newsletter. So that would be great to include in that.
that's great. Okay. So the next step then is, once we have dates pinned down for all these different things, also press releases to go to some of our major news outlets. I have some experience with this, but would love another person to work with me on this. So this probably won't be until like mid to late December. So I'm curious if anyone would be interested in looking at some press release copy with me.
I have some experience. I've done them for our office, so I can definitely try to help out on that.
Thank you. And the last thing I will push in terms of media campaigns are just within our own social media channels. Obviously, we encourage you to advertise it the whole month, but the one day in particular to put on your calendar is January 11th. This is the National Wear Blue Day, and it's a part of the DHS Blue campaign around human trafficking prevention. So the hashtag is just hashtag Wear Blue Day, and you wear blue in your photo that you post on social media. So as much as we can, we would love to have as many of our agencies here posting that day as possible. And if you can tag, what is it? I guess we don't have a social media handle for the task force as of yet, but it would probably just be the hashtag that I'll put in the chat window, which is just the acronym for our task force, Santa Barbara County Human Trafficking Task Force. So that's January 11th. Any questions or feedback about the media campaign portion of this? Okay. So the last piece of this then is the action items component. And so as of right now, through the DA's office, we have a slightly out of date website, which is not on them. It's on me that I haven't been able to keep it up, but we are using the trafficstopsb.org. And I'm going to put the link in the chat window there. And so this is where we can share like that directory of action steps that people can take. And it's where we'll want to link to with all of our like if we do put an ad in the Independent or the Santa Maria Sun, et cetera, so that people are directed there to find the action steps. We had started drafting a Google Doc that has some action steps in it. And this is not something that I want us to go over today, but I do want everyone to take one more look at it because I'd like to have this up and running by mid-December. So probably, I'm going to say December 15th. And I'll share this in the chat window, but I'll also share this afterwards. And so this is, as of right now, it's just a long listing of the resources and ways that people can get involved with the issue, including just some immediate, like, here's some of the contexts in which you might see trafficking occurring, and then here's where you report it, here's where you donate, here's where you volunteer, et cetera. This is not the format that we'll put it in. Like ultimately, we'll put this on a pretty looking page so that it's a little more engaging for people. But I do want to make sure that we're including everything. I know one of the big issues we've talked about is that volunteerism can be difficult with this issue because it's hard to volunteer directly with survivors of trafficking for various reasons. And so I know some of our organizations do offer internships, but it's a longer commitment for that sort of work. So I want to throw that out and say, if your organization has volunteer opportunities around this issue, please let us know. We'd love to include that. If you'd like to be included in the donations specifically for a human trafficking related issue, please let us know as well. And so yeah, so I would love for everyone to just take a look at this, as I said, in the next couple of weeks, and I'll send out a reminder email on this, but we really want to have something that people can go to at the end of the month to take action. Thanks, Christy. I'm going to add what is love here. Any thoughts or comments just on this idea in general? We don't have to get into the weeds with this document per se, but
Do you want to put, as far as donations for people for the actual shelters or the residential facilities, Hope Refuge, and then the one that I think that's in Carp?
yes.
I think that for a lot of donors, like knowing that they're directly impacting survivors, I think that would be like an easy yes.
Yeah, that's great. And then I have Good Samaritan on there as well. But maybe, yeah, maybe I'll highlight which ones are specifically the shelter agencies. Okay, thanks, Christy. Okay, so with all of this, there's a few points that we will need to circle back on once we actually have the dates finalized. I'm going to host kind of an open office hours meeting on that December 15th. So that'll be, I guess, 4 weeks from today at the same time at 4 p.m. And I'll share out the Zoom link. But that would be a chance then for us to jump back on and just check in about things like the vigil and what else needs to happen for the proclamations, et cetera. So I'd encourage you, if you're able to put that on your calendar, that'd be great. But I also know December is a hairy month for many of us. So much of this will probably be over email.
What month isn't a hairy month for all of us?
Yeah, I guess I should know my audience.
Good question, Ann.
I do have a question about the city councils. So you want us to go ahead and start reaching out now, even though we don't have the proclamations done, right? We just need to get on their calendar. So we
yeah,
get
if
to
we
pick the
can.
date. Okay.
Yeah.
And I noted for the county, there's only 2 dates in that we meet in January. So it would be the 10th and the 24th, which is in Santa Maria.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
If we have, I think like for Goleta last year, we ended up pushing it to February because that's just what worked. And that's okay if we have to do that for any of these. We just want it. The point is awareness. It, you know, ultimately, if it doesn't happen immediately in January, that's okay. So those are all the business items I had for today. Is there any other business that anyone on this call wanted to bring up related to education and awareness?
I'm happy to share that we're going to be doing some work at Hope Refuge starting in the next couple of weeks through the end of the school year. We got a grant from the Santa Barbara Foundation to do some direct service with survivors and really helping them to kind of put together a new idea around healthy relationships. So we're really honored and excited to be doing this work.
That's great. And that's starting in the new year, you said?
In the next 2 weeks.
Oh, great.
There's lots of hoops that we need to jump through. Fingerprinting, background checks, some specialized training, that kind of thing. But we've almost completed that process.
Awesome. All right, I have a lot of links to send you all, and I'll send out the meeting minutes as well with just who signed up to volunteer with what. But I really appreciate all of your time today. So thank you for being here. Go enjoy the autumn light while you still have it.
Thanks, Landon.
Good to see you
Happy
all.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Oh yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye-bye.
Bye.